So we go on to productivity. And when we talk about productivity, productivity simply means output per input. That means the number of output that the number of output needed, the number of output that we are able to put together when we combine different inputs. So here I was, productivity. This measures the output over a given level of inputs. Output is the goods or services produced. Inputs are the factors of production. So these are the things we put together to get the output. So inputs are on processing to get to our output. We do it this way. We have inputs, we have processing, then we have output. So the number of these that can put out this is our productivity. So that's why we said productivity measures the output over a given level of inputs. Output over a given level of inputs. So those inputs that we put together, the factors of production that we put together to get to the output is our productivity. Do we understand what productivity is? Do we understand or not? Yes. So for productivity, we have labor productivity and capital productivity. What makes them differ? For labor productivity, it measures output per number of workers. So if we produce 1,000 units of bottle, 1,000 units, which is produced by 10 workers. So labor productivity here is 1,000 divided by 10. So 100 units per worker. Do you get labor productivity here? Output per each worker. So we have 100 units produced by 10 workers. So labor productivity here is the unit produced divided by the numbers of workers involved. Do we understand labor productivity? Great. Then we have capital productivity. For capital productivity, we're talking about the output per capital employed. So the formula is output divided by capital employed. Now for capital employed, it's either fixed assets minus working capital. And when we talk about working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. That's how we get our working capital. Are you guys with me? Are you with me, please?
Yes.
Great. So that's how we get our working capital. Then another formula we can use for capital employed is total assets minus current liabilities. Either of these formula will give you the same. Do we understand?
Yes.
Any question about this?
No.
Great. So what are the factors that influence productivity? The first one, specialization and division of labor. When we talk about specialization, it simply means the concentration of an individual or firm on one aspect of production. And for division of labor, it's the breaking down of production process into different stages, and each stage is being performed by different people. So which simply means an individual will be given a task to complete. And for the fact that you continue to do the same task, you get better in it, and it becomes your line of specialization. Do you get it here? Yes. So each individual continues to carry on a task, which he or she becomes better on it, and that becomes his or her own specialization. And when there is specialization, it brings about productivity. So because I continue to do what I know how to do best, then productivity is expected to increase. Do you understand division of labor and specialization? So that's why every time they say division of labor leads to specialization. So when I give you a task, I give him a task, I give him a task, you continue to do that task, you continue to do your own task. As time goes on, you get better in that task, it becomes your specialty. So I've divided the task, and now it becomes your specialty. That's why they said division of labor leads to specialization. Is it clear? Yeah. So with specialization or division of labor, productivity is expected to increase. The second one, education and training. With education, it allows you to know more than what you used to know. Training next you to know what you don't know. So with that, you become flexible and productivity is expected to increase. When I know more, I will be able to do more. That is the point. Is it clear?
Yes.
The third one, motivation of workers. When workers are motivated, it means they are happy. They will be able to carry out their task more efficiently. And that is expected to increase productivity. So what are those things you should do as a firm? Can you stop that already? What are those things you should do as a firm to increase workers' motivation, financial incentives, commission, bonus? When you do this to workers, they get motivated, they become happy. That's one aspect, that is financial incentive. Then we have non-financial incentives, which are job satisfaction. For job satisfaction, we have job enrichment, job rotation, and job enlargement. With this, workers become happy and they feel motivated and they want to do more. So workers' motivation, if workers' motivation can be improved, then productivity is expected to increase. Do you understand the second point then?
Yes.
The third one, working practice. For working practice, we're talking about how the organization is being structured. If the organization is being structured, the policies, the procedures, the company policies, the use of equipment, the use of machines within the organization, if things are well structured, workers will be happy, they'll be able to carry out their tasks. So how your company is being structured determines how workers become happy and want to do the job well. So if your company is not well structured, even in terms of the human resources, if your human resources are not doing well, they would have employed wrong workers, putting a square peg in a round hole. So how do you expect productivity to increase? So your structure determines your output. Do we understand that?
Yes.
And the second to the last one, labor flexibility. Labor flexibility comes how workers are able to adapt to changes in organizational structure or changes in work practices. So workers will be able to adapt. What will make them to adapt is through training. So when they continue to be trained, they become multi-skilled. So whatever changes that come upon the work practices, they'll be able to get it done. So workers' flexibility comes with training. When they are being trained, they know more than what they used to know, and that makes them to be they become multi-skilled. So whatever the work practice is, they'll be able to carry it out. But if they are not being trained, if you are increasing their work, or if you are increasing their tasks, they won't be able to do it, their productivity will fall. Do we understand flexibility here?
Yes.
So worker flexibility is linked to training workers. You have to train them. Is it clear? And the last one, capital productivity, which simply talks about technology. If technology is being introduced to the work practices, it's simply going to increase productivity. So as soon as we increase technology, then it is expected that productivity should increase. Because technology means things get better and faster. Do we understand productivity and the factors that influence productivity?
Yes.
Any question about that? No, as usual.
Yeah.